Hi all, in this session we are going to learn about Azure Storage Account. Here we can learn what is storage account, how to create storage account, where we are going to use this storage account, everything we are going to discuss in detail. Let us quickly understand what do you mean by storage account. Here the storage account is a service offered by the Microsoft Azure in order to save the data. As you know, in general, how much the data is important for an organization. While uploading or saving the data, the organization has taken several preventive measures in order to avoid the losing of data and compromising of security. Because of that much important data is. What will happen if they lose the data or if it has been threatened by someone? It is going to create some kind of business loss or serious impact on business. So because of that reason, the organizations are going to take the lot of precautions while they are going to save the data. Generally, where they are going to save? On premises. In on premises, they have their file servers. On top of the file servers, they are going to store their data. If the companies didn't have the on premises or on premises data center, then what is the further solution? Even though some companies have the on premises, they are going to store the data in the cloud storage. Why? The reason is what? Because of the cloud is going to provide some kind of advanced features, like it is going to provide unlimited storage. How much data you have, that much space or storage I am going to provide to you. You can use the space. Whatever the storage space you had stored, for that only I am going to be charged. At the same time, the cloud is going to provide some kind of advanced features to the organizations while saving their data. So because of these features offered by the cloud service provider, the companies or organizations showing their interest towards saving of data over cloud, because of it is going to provide unlimited storage space, security features, economic prices, high availability. There are a lot of reasons. It is a recent trend, or even though some companies have the on-premises data center, they are going to migrate their on-premises data to the cloud because of this advanced features offered by the cloud technologies. Right. Okay. Coming to the Azure Storage Account, as we had already discussed, this is a service offered by the Microsoft Azure, and while creating the Azure Storage Account, we have the lot of options are there. Based on the requirement, we are going to choose that particular option. Generally, we have 4 different types of storages are there in Azure Storage Account, like container or blob storage service, file storage service, table storage service, queue storage service. Each storage service has an individual advantage. Based on the requirement, we are going to choose that particular storage service. So we are going to discuss in detail about each and every storage service. And before that, I am going to show to you in a practical manner as well. So for that, I am quickly logging to the portal.azure.com. Whatever the thing I am going to choose, first of all, we are going to discuss in theoretical. Then after that, I am going to show to you in a practical manner as well. So what is the foremost thing or first thing which we need to create? To create any resource in Azure, to create the resource group. So that's why I am going to create the resource group. The name is rg-storage. Just review plus create. Just click on create. Okay. The resource group will be created. Then what you need to do? You need to create the storage account. Just click on universal search bar and search for storage account. Here it is going to replicate here. Just click on storage account. Right now I don't have any storage account, so I am going to create one new fresh storage account in my account, in my portal account. In my portal account, I am going to create storage account, guys. There is no confusion here, I hope. So the resource group which I am going to select is rg-storage, because of this is one and only resource group which is currently available in my portal account. So that's why by default it has been taken. And storage name. While setting the name of storage account, you need to be very cautious, because of all the letters should be lowercase only, and it should be unique. If the name which you had mentioned it is already used by someone, it is not going to accept. Suppose if you want to check the same, I am going to mention storage one. Is it accepting? No. It is showing the storage one is already taken. Because of the reason, I need to set some name which is in unique. Storage, it is not allowed the hyphens. Dev tester, is it taken or not? No. STG dev tester is my storage account now. It is unique one. It has not been used by anyone. If it has been used by anyone, it is throwing an error. And I am going to select the region Australia East only, where the resource group has been created. And here you need to select for which primary service you are going to create the storage account. Azure Blob Storage or Azure Data Lake Storage, Azure Files or Tables and Queues. This thing we had already seen here. Blob Storage, File Storage Service, Table Storage Service or Queue Storage Service. Here if you observe here, the tables and queues both is showing as single service, but even though it is showing in the single column, we have specific advantage with the tables and queues as well. Let us discuss what is the different advantages which we will get by selecting those options. Simply we can say, if you select Azure Blob Storage, what type of storage it is? This type of storage service is generally used to keep the unstructured data and semi-structured data. Means video files, VM disk files, large volume disk files, database files. We are going to save those files in the Azure Blob Storage. And coming to the semi-structured data, what are the things which comes under semi-structured data? Like JSON files, HTML files. There are a lot of files are there that will come under some kind of semi-structured data. If I have those data type, I am going to save those data type in the Azure Blob Storage. Suppose if you select the file Azure file, means it is a file share service. Which type of data I am going to upload in these Azure files? This storage service is used to keep raw data files like semi-structured data and structured data. You can be able to capable to save semi-structured data. Along with that, you can be able to save structured data as well in Azure files. If you select the tables, what will happen? Table is a kind of rows and columns. Generally, you know what do you mean by table? If you are going to save the data in the form of rows and columns, that will be called as a tables. Then what do you mean by queues? Generally, first of all, we are going to cover the table service. So where we are getting the tables, rows and columns in Excel files or not? Yes, obviously. If you see any Excel, what we have? Rows and columns. In rows and columns only we are going to put the data, and based on the requirement we are going to filter the data. So right now, if you want to store the data in the form of rows and tables or rows and columns, you are going to select the service table storage service. Otherwise, if you want to store the data in the form of small messages or promotional messages, then you are going to use the queue storage service. This is all about the different types of storage services which we have in Azure Storage Account. Blob storage, file storage, table storage, queue storage. These are the 4 different types of storage which we have in Azure Storage Account. And coming to the performance, generally we have 2 types of performance are there: standard, premium. Suppose if you are using for general purpose, then you can use standard, and if you are using for some specific scenario purpose that requires low latency, means high speed, if you want to save the data and if you want to access the data very frequently with low latency speed, then you are going to select the premium account here. And coming to this redundancy, So this is the one of the important, guys. In interview as well, you will get a question from this. So while creating the Azure Storage account, which redundancy type your company is preferring? So here we have the different options are there, like local redundancy LRS. What will happen if I select the LRS? I'm going to show to you guys. So just come down, come down. Suppose if you select LRS, means what will happen? The data which you are going to save in the storage account, it is going to replicate 3 times within the data center. Means here you are selecting local. Local means it is limited to single data center. In single data center, your data is replicated in 3 times. Okay, and how much your data is secured? The Azure is going to provide the SLA of 99.9999. It is going to for 9 times. Here the data is available in the single data center, but it is going to replicate it 3 times within the same data center. But there is a very less chance. Suppose if you have the multiple racks, it is going to distribute over the 3 racks. If one of the rack went down, from the another 2 racks you can be able to access the data. Suppose if the entire data center down because of some any war or something, any other issue, floods, there are a lot of things are there, some emergency situations. At that time you can lose the data. Suppose in that scenario also, if you don't want to lose your data, what you will do? The Azure is going to provide multiple options based on your requirement, based on the scenarios. Here local redundancy is generally when we are going to select, if I have the data which is not critical, and even though if any loss happen, then it is not going to impact my business. In that scenarios, we are going to select LRS as my redundancy option. But what will happen if I select the zone redundant storage? Here what will happen? Your data which is going to save in the storage account is going to replicate 3 times, but in 3 different zones. If you have one region, instead of the region you have assume 3 different availability zones are there. The availability zones are physically separated data centers. Means if entire data center is down, it is not going to down your data. You have another 2 data centers are there. From the 2 data centers you will be able to retrieve your data. It is a possibility of zone redundant storage. It is going to provide 99.12 times 12 times 9, 99.99999 up to 12 times. Fine. Here suppose if the entire zone has been down, then again I am going to lose the data, but I don't want to take that risk as well. So what I am going to select? Geo redundant. I am going to select geo redundant storage. Here what will happen? Initially the data will be replicated over the 3 times in a primary region. Then it is going to reflect asynchronously in the secondary region. There as well it is going to replicate 3 times in the LRS. Means if my primary region went down, then from the secondary region I can be able to retrieve the data. This is the geo redundant storage. Here one more thing is there, GZRS. GZRS I am going to show to you guys. LRS we had already discussed. Geo already means the same data will be replicated over another region. In primary region 3 copies, in secondary region 3 copies. Total 6 copies of your data is there in GRS. And if you select the GRS, it is going to distribute the data over multiple availability zones. If any one of the physical data center has went down, it is not going to impact your business. From the rest 2 data centers, you can be able to retrieve the data. If you select the geo zone redundant, what will happen? What will happen? Initially, the data is going to replicate over multiple availability zones which are available in that particular region. Then after that, it is going to replicate in another region. It is highly impossible. If you select the GZRS, it is highly impossible to lose your data because of it is going to distribute over multiple availability zones. Both the availability zones are physically separate. If those 3 data centers or 3 availability zones has went down, Even though in that scenario as well, I am going to get the data from another region. That is the best possible solution. Means here there is no chance to lose the data. Only point not one. That is the probability of chance which we are going to lose the data. Here, as I'm going to create for lab purpose, so that's why I'm going to select local redundancy storage. Just click on next. And here we have a lot of options are there. What I told to you, along with the unlimited storage space, the cloud is also going to provide some kind of advanced features in order to save my data. So what are the different types of advanced features? Let us have a look. So requires secure transfer for REST API operations. If you enable this option, what will happen? It is going to provide some kind of enhanced security feature to your storage account. Means if you enable this option, what will happen? If any REST API operation performed with the HTTPS request, then only it will be passed. Otherwise, if anybody has used it to perform the operation or REST API operation with HTTP, then it is not allowed. Means why? HTTP is anonymous or it is not secured. HTTPS means hypertext transfer protocol secure. It is have the certificate, means it is a trusted one. So only the trusted things is allowed. Suppose if you use the same service for kind of file storage service, if the connection to the file storage service is not encrypted, then it is not going to allow the connection. Suppose if you have any queries, so you didn't understand, you have the I tab is there, info tab. If you click here, then you can be able to understand for which the option is. Accordingly, you can enable the option or disable the option. Here, allow enabling anonymous access on individual container. Means here it is asking you, if you disable this option, it is going to prevent the anonymous access. Anonymous access means unknown access or random access. If I disable this option, nobody can be able to access my storage account randomly. Suppose if I enable this option, anybody from any place can be able to access my storage account. By default, I am going to disable this option because of if I allow anonymous users to access my storage account, what will happen? They are going to steal my data. So in order to avoid that, I am going to disable this option. And default to Microsoft Enter authorization. Suppose if you want to make the Enter ID users, they can be able to log on the storage account with the help of their credentials, then you can enable this option. By enabling this option, what will happen? The persons who have the Enter ID, by using their Enter ID, they can be able to log on into the storage account in order to access the data. If you enable this option, otherwise by default it has been blocked. Minimum TLS version is version 1.2. TLS stands for Transport Layer Security. It is version 1.2 and you have multiple versions out there. So you can select the default one, version 1.2. Permitted scope for copy operations. Here you need to select the permission scope. Here from any storage account. Suppose somebody want to copy the data from the storage account to your storage account. How you are going to restrict? If you select the first option, what will happen? If you have any storage account, you can be able to copy the data from the storage account to this storage account. If you select this option. Otherwise, if you select the second option, what will happen? From storage account in the same Microsoft entry. Means whatever the storage account which is with same Microsoft tenant only, I am going to allow the copy of data from that storage account to my storage account. Otherwise, it is disabled. And the third option is allowing you from storage account that have private endpoint to the same virtual network. Means I am going to copy the data from the storage account which they have the private endpoint to the same virtual network where my currently storage account is in the same virtual network. Means if the both accounts, my account and the data account should be in the same virtual network with the private endpoint. Otherwise, it is not going to allow you. And the companies are going to select based on the requirement. You can, if you want to put highly confidential or highly protective environment, then you can choose the third option. Otherwise, you can select the first option. As I'm going to select the first option, because of as this is going to create for the lab purpose. And hierarchy space. Generally, this data lake storage Gen 2 is used by the data engineering guys. Generally, you are not going to involve in this, so you just need to exclude this because of it is purely related to the data engineering guys. Okay, and come to access protocols. Here it is everything is disabled because of it is related to the data engineering guys. Just you can ignore about it. And coming to the allow cross-tenant replication. If you enable this option, what will happen? Just click on I. Allow object replication to copy blobs to a destination account on different Microsoft Entra. Means if I want to replicate the objects in my account to the another blob or another container in the another tenant. If I enable this option, that will be possible. Otherwise, it is not possible. Whatever the data I had uploaded into this account, it is limited to this account only. It is not going to make some cross-tenant replication. Simply cross-tenant replication. Cross means same tenant means same account. Cross means another tenant. Replication means data replication. Here I am going to disable. And coming to the access tier, here hot, cool, cold. So based on the nature of your data, you can select either. Suppose the data which you are going to upload in the storage account is going to access frequently. It is going to select hot, and the data which you are going to save in the storage account is going to access infrequently. On daily basis it is not going to access. On 3 days one time or 1 week one time they are going to access. In that scenario we are going to use the cool. Suppose the data which I am going to store in the storage account is not at all required. Sometimes whenever there is a requirement, so for 2 months one time or 3 months one time, so I am going to access in order to verify. But those scenarios we are going to use the code. Generally what they are going to select, based on the options which you select, the charges will be there. If you select the cold, generally in which scenarios we are going to select? For access data, for backup scenarios. And cool, infrequently accessed data we are going to use cool. For frequently accessed data we are going to select hot. So I am going to continue with the hot option because of, so right now I am going to access frequently, so that's why, as it is created for lab purpose, so that's why I am going to select with the hot. Just click on next. And networking. So in the networking you just need to enable these options. Enable public access from all networks. Means here from all the public networks you can be able to access the storage account if you select the first option. Otherwise if you select the second option, what will happen? It is going to allow you to access this storage account from the public account, but from the selected virtual network and IP address. If you have the if you are in the range of the selected virtual network and IP address, then only you can be able to access. Otherwise it is throwing an error. It won't allow you. And disable public access and use private access. Suppose if you restrict all the public access to the storage account, purely whoever is logged into your account or your employee, you are going to share some credentials, then only they can be able to access with the private access. Otherwise by default nobody from the internet can be able to access your storage account. In that scenarios you can select disable public access, use private access only. Internal users only can be able to access. No external user from anywhere around the globe can be able to access through public IP. Means public access means through public IP. So I am going to select the first option. Just come down. If you want to create some private endpoint, you can be able to create here. And network routing. So the routing preferences here, you need to determine the route, your traffic as it travels from source to its Azure endpoint. So if you want to select the internet routing, then internet will take care. Otherwise if you select the Microsoft network routing, then the Microsoft will take the responsibility to route your network traffic. Let's come on next. And here, in order to protect your data which you are going to upload in the storage account, we have multiple options. Enable soft delete for blobs, enable soft delete for containers, enable soft delete for file shares. So if you select the standard account, by default you will get blob storage, file storage, table storage and queue storage. Suppose you had created some, you had uploaded some kind of blobs. Accidentally, you had been deleted. After some days, you realized, oh, that is the important one I had deleted, but I don't, I want to retain it back. Then how you can be able? With the help of these settings. How many days you had set here, that many days the data will be temporarily available. Even though you had deleted the data, it will be available to retain. After 7 days of time, it will automatically temporarily delete from your storage account. How many days you want to set the notice retain time? That many days you can set. Like you can set up to 1 day, minimum 1 day, max 365 days. If you increase the number of days, then the Azure is going to charge you more, because of it is going to hold your data until the retain days has been completed. Suppose right now I had deleted one file. If I selected the 365 days, until the 365 days, the data is in my account only. At any point of time, if I decided to retain those data which I had deleted, I can be able to retrieve the data. If I select the retain period as 365 days. So if you increase the numbers, you need to, the Azure is going to charge more. So by default, I am going to select 1 week or 2 weeks of time or 21 days of time or 1 month of time. And for same for containers, for the file shares, how many retain days you want. So after the 7th day, again, suppose if it is 8th day, then the first backup will gone. If it is 9th day, the second backup will gone. And if it is 9th day, the third backup will be gone. Means at any point in time, we have last 7 days data with us only. Okay, this is thing which you are going to set the enable for soft delete or retain period. And tracking. So how we are going to track? If you want to track the manage versions and keep track of changes made to your blob data, here you can enable the versioning for blobs. About the versioning, we had already discussed in the Git session. Generally, Git is used as a versioning tool. Why versioning is required? If I want to make the multiple versions of the same file, I am going to use the versioning concept. Means if I had uploaded one file, on day 1 I had done some modification, I am going to save, and day 2 I had done another modification, I am going to save. Means you have the 3 files there, day 0, day 1, day 2. The file is same, but the content is different. Whenever you had modification, whenever you done the modification to your file, whenever you save the file, then it is going to save as one new file. Means it is a kind of new version. Whenever you done modification, it is going to save as a new version file. This is about enable versioning. Suppose if you want to make versioning for your blobs or data, then you can enable this option. Otherwise, you can exclude, you can ignore, and click on next. Encryption. So how you want to make the encryption of your data? Here the encryption plays very crucial role, because of if it is in the readable format, anybody can be able to read your data while you are uploading to while you are uploading your data from your organization to the Azure, and at the same time, even after uploading your data over the Azure as well, if it is in a readable format, the anonymous users will be able to read your data. In order to avoid that, what we will do, we are going to encrypt the data. Means it is going to, the data is same, but it is going to encrypt in the unknown format. The Microsoft is using some kind of methodology in order to encrypt your data. Suppose if you want to make some customer managed keys, then it is going to provide the flexibility for you. Even you can use your customer managed keys. Here the purely responsibility is yours. If you select the customer manager key, you need to take the responsibility. Otherwise, if you select the Microsoft management key, then the responsibility will be taken care by the Azure. And key support for customer management. Enable support for customer managed keys, blobs and files only. Otherwise, you can select all services. If you want to enable the support for customer managed key for all the services, you can enable this option. Otherwise, if you only restrict for blobs and files only, then you can select the first one. And here, enable infrastructure encryption. By default, the Azure encrypts storage account data at rest. Data at rest means if you upload the data in your storage account, you had already done, then your data is in storage account, means data is at rest. That will be called as data at rest. Here, what will happen? The Azure encrypts the storage accounts data at rest. Infrastructure encrypts adds the second layer of encryption to your storage accounts data. By default, it will be encrypted. In addition to that, if you want to encrypt at infrastructure level, then the possibility is there, but it will be little bit costlier. Even though if you want use, you can use, otherwise you can exclude. As I told you, how much the data is important for an organization. If I want to restrict, means suppose if you take the finance sector, like banking sector, how much the data is important for. So there is a lot of crores of transactions happen. Suppose if any anonymous users can be able to read the data, it will create serious impact on business or not. So that's why while uploading the data by the companies in the Azure cloud or anywhere, they are going to lot of preventive measures in order to lose the data. Here, okay, I am going to select the Microsoft Manager key in order to encrypt the data. I am going to restrict for blobs and files only, and just click on next and tags. Here, while creating each resource, you will get the option tags. It is purely optional, and even it is optional, it plays very crucial role while doing the automation way. With the help of the tags only, we can identify why it has been created, for what purpose it has been created in future. So right now we are going to create, then you will remember for which purpose you had created, for what purpose you are going to use. But later, 1 year later, 2 years later, some new guy has been joined. So while by seeing the storage account, he need to understand for which purpose or for what purpose they had been created. So for that reason, the tags plays very crucial role or important role. Suppose here a name I am going to save for project data. All data, project data means all data has been saved. Okay, fine. Click on review plus create. Let me check. So we had explored each and every option while creating the storage account. Just click on create. It is going to initialize the deployment. As we had last time discussed in the last session, like whatever the resource you are going to create, on backside which script is going on? ARM template script is going on. Azure Resource Manager. Here the deployment is in progress. It is going to take some time. Once the storage account has been successfully created, so I'm going to show to you guys the options. So this is all about storage account. There are a lot of options. We had already explored about each and every option. So in the real-time scenario as well, while creating the storage account, based on the requirement, they are going to choose particular options. So my resource has been successfully deployed. Just click on go to resource. Then you will be able to, okay, just right now I am in the storage account. Here if you observe, I am selected the replication as LRS, local redundant storage. Here account kind, storage general purpose, means it's standard. If you select performance is standard, you are selecting the performance as standard. If you select the standard while creating the storage account, by default you will get 4 kinds of Azure storage services. What are those? Blob storage, file storage, queue storage, table storage. Okay, generally the queue service and table service has been used by the developers. So we will have much focus on the blob service along with file service only. And coming to the security enabled, so each and everything you can be able to view here. It is a overview of your storage account. And coming to the here, come to data store. In data management, data storage, you have containers, file shares, queues, tables. If you click on container, right now by default one container has been created with the name logs. Suppose if you want to create one more container, you can be able to create the container from here. Just click on container, then you can set the name and You have a lot of options you need to explore here, but in this way we can be able to create the storage account. Inside of the storage account we can be able to create the container. Here remember guys, container is not that much difficulty. Container is simply we can say as folder. So how we can be, if you assume if you have the local laptop in your mission, how you are creating one file or one folder in order to save your files. In a similar way we are going to create one container in order to save the files. So if I create one folder, whatever the related files I want, I am going to save in that particular folder. In the similar way, by creating the container, you are going to save the files. And as you know, the page block, what are the different types of blobs? Page blob, let us discuss, suppose we are going to discuss in the next session. Like this is already extended. So in page block or something in blob, we have different kinds of containers are there. So we will have a look about each and every blob storage in the upcoming session. Okay guys, hope you guys understood my session. I will meet up you in the next session with the new topic guys. Until signing off, thank you, bye bye.